Good afternoon and welcome to Rock Your Block and today's segment of 495 Metro. I am your host, Ed Richardson, and today we have a distinguished guest in the studio. He is certified in data analytics and has participated in completed studies in financial literacy, including online courses from MIT with Professor Gary Gensler on blockchain. He is an independent financial coach who is passionate about promoting financial literacy and educating the public about cryptocurrency and, of course, credit repair. His focus today is money investments and cryptocurrency, and it is a pleasure to have him here with us today. Please welcome Mr. Jordan Brown, co-founder of onecommoncause.org. Welcome, Jordan.
Hey, how you doing today? Thank you for having me.
Yes. We're excited to have you because I feel like the everyday person might be falling a little behind when it comes to financial literacy, especially as we're on the dawn of AI and cryptocurrency and credit repair and all that means to the average person. So we're glad to have you. Financial topics always grab our attention, and we're eager to learn about the latest developments in the marketplace. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself, your interests, and what turns you on to financial literacy, cryptocurrency, and credit repair.
Well, to be honest with you, what drew my interest into this to this asset would be happening around, say, like 2020, around the COVID situation, and that's when I got an introduction into blockchain technology, where I had a chance in between time to take a course at MIT with Gary Gensler. And around this time in 2020, this is like around the time of COVID, I was seeing a lot with the stock markets. I was hearing about like the AMC or the GameStop and things like that, and just got real interested into the stock market. And so, wanting to understand more about it and what this financial asset class bring, I just just dove in head first and just try to collect the most information on it as possible.
So, with that being said, you're getting into studying about cryptocurrency, credit repair, and somewhere along the way, I don't know about many people, but I know for me, in our conversation and preparation leading up to this, the question arose with let's explain to the audience what money really is.
Absolutely. See, I feel like bridging that gap at One Common Cause is our main goal, of just understanding what money is and bringing financial literacy to people that may not have the time to actually just be able to study and look into it for themselves, or understanding credit, or understanding money, or even understanding blockchain. And so at One Common Cause, we feel like we're able to bridge that gap by being able to give people perspective on all these different asset classes and how to work it into their daily life, and to make their financial situation a little better day to day.
So with that being said, which leads me to my next question about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, could you explain to our audience the basic and relationship benefits to the customer of becoming financially literate in these areas?
And just your day-to-day living, first of all, like who couldn't use a little bit extra leeway rather than paying bills or going out vacation, and times is getting hard on everybody. So being able to be financially literate, to be able to have that extra streams of income to be able to go to, especially in times of need or not, I just feel like it would just be a great asset for everybody. We all want to accumulate more money, but a lot of people just don't know how to pretty much with the money to accumulate, how to generate wealth. And I feel like being able to offer financial literacy will be able to bridge that gap.
So let's talk a little bit more about that. We had some preparation when I first met you, and we sat down and we talked about it. I got real excited about your passion about helping people, to kind of get into what's coming, what's actually here. And one of the things that you had mentioned was that, we're falling behind with the onslaught of cryptocurrencies and people struggling with financing. And with that in mind, when we're going to bring it down to everyday life, but how does Bitcoin affect the world marketplace?
Bitcoin affects the world marketplace first by opening the world marketplace open to places of the world that may not have access before. And essentially, Bitcoin banks the unbanked.
Oh.
So
say that again.
Bitcoin banks the unbanked. So just to break down what Bitcoin is, essentially, it's a revolutionary technology. It's a commodity. And what most people would consider hard money, new hard money, old hard money would probably consider gold, but Bitcoin is the first digital asset with a scarcity. So, and they're meaning there's like, it can't be copied, it can't be duplicated. And the whole world has access to it. It's an open source that everybody has access to it just with an internet connection. And at its basic uses, it's peer-to-peer transaction. So for me to be able to send you money or in return, no matter where you're at in the world. So like, pretty much, you can think of it almost as handling remittance payments in a way. It's borderless, it's decentralized, no government owns it, and you only need internet access. So that means that somebody, as far as India, Africa, third world countries, they could connect to it and essentially have a bank account.
So you and I talked about the scarcity. You mentioned it just a moment ago. What does that mean? What is Bitcoin? Is it just a certain amount of it? Does that make Bitcoin more valuable? I mean,
that's what I think that me personally makes Bitcoin so great. So like when you compare it to, let's say, the US dollar, for example, the central banks can print that as much as they feel needed. And I mean, especially in times where we're in a debt crisis or we're about to hit a debt ceiling, the central bank and the government can agree to, like, they have to do one or two things, either raise or lower interest rates or print more money. And then what that in turn do is make the money that you actually already have in your accounts, makes it less valuable, makes the spending, because it's now an influx of money into the market. So now it's more spending. So you wonder why prices go up when more money get pumped into the market. It's because there's less products and there's a lot more spending. And so that's the only way to counteract that is by raising interest rates. Now you go into Bitcoin, right? It's 21 million. That's all it will ever be. No more, no less.
21 million Bitcoin.
21 million Bitcoin. So with 21 million Bitcoin being the cap, that means there's nothing else added. That nothing else can be duplicated and copied into it. So you essentially owning your wealth. So you owning a Bitcoin is essentially owning 1/21 millionth of that market cap.
So owning my wealth. Okay. Talk to our audience more about what that actually means. Owning your wealth.
Owning your wealth, man.
You had mentioned to me at one time you get to become your own bank, right?
That was essentially like where as I think about wealth, I'm thinking about as assets, and where assets, like whether that's like real estate, you can consider cash, but as we just discussed, cash devalues over time. Another hard asset would be gold, things that would generate value over time. And so Bitcoin essentially, by you owning it, becoming your own bank, allows you to then be accountable and take your own wealth. So, all right, you have a bank account, right?
Yes.
And let's say you have $10,000 in that bank account right now. Is that your money or the bank's money?
Well, I think it's my money. Am I wrong?
Yeah, absolutely. Because by you opening that bank account, you gave complete control of your money, of your wealth, to the bank. So that allows the bank to lend it out, to go invest with it, and to be able to pay you, I guess, like a certain interest rate per year. Whereas in Bitcoin, that's completely your money. Like that's your cash, you're holding, that's your account. You're in complete control of it. Invest as you please. And so whereas markets could fluctuate, could crash, Bitcoin would pretty much hold its value. I mean, because you're not putting more Bitcoin. You're not going to have 25 more million Bitcoin to handle that new debt ceiling. So you're not going to print more money to devalue Bitcoin. So it's just going to only become more valuable over time, and what makes it more valuable over time and even harder to consume, because Bitcoin must be going through like a mining algorithm just to even implement new Bitcoins into the currency.
You said a mining algorithm. What's that?
Now, all right, how Bitcoin operates is peer-to-peer transactions. So for every
peer-to-peer, that's me and you.
That's me and you.
Okay.
So for you sending me a Bitcoin, now I mean from your anonymous wallet to mine, a computer generates a hash. That hash must be solved by mining algorithms, usually computers, laptops, that must confirm that transaction that you indeed send the Bitcoin from your wallet to me. And so by them confirming that hash and that transaction, they are rewarded Bitcoin. So this is the only way new Bitcoin can be printed into the market, is by first mining that Bitcoin. So for them confirming that hash and that transaction, a new Bitcoin, they're rewarded with new Bitcoins. And so that puts the new Bitcoins into the market. And that at the same time, what happens, everybody gets updated that's connected to the Bitcoin network.
How are we updated?
Because anybody, all transactions are recorded on a ledger. Now, I mean, so for that transaction being confirmed, there is now a block onto the chain. And now, I mean, so everybody can now see on a ledger where that Bitcoin has been moved from or moved to. So it's essentially with Bitcoin, the 21 million Bitcoins are already in existence. Now, I mean, right now, currently we have like 19.2 circulating, leaving out 1.8 left to be mined. Now, the only way the new Bitcoins can be coming to the system is by that 1.8 million is by being mined into the system.
So now you mentioned mined, Bitcoin being mined. Is there a cave where the Bitcoin is dug out like gold, or I mean, I don't know, man. The audience wants to know, what do you mean by mine?
That computer, the mining rigs are computers that are solving that difficult math problem that presented by that hash that was presented when you sent me a Bitcoin. So by the computer generating, using electricity, generating that hash, it's them actually mining, confirming that block. And
so when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the blockchain, about the mining. If people want to know more about what we're discussing today, they can contact you through the email, which should be, on as part of the information for the show. Also, when we come back, I'd like to talk a little bit about the difference between digital currency and cryptocurrency, which, I don't know, are they the same thing? We had a brief conversation, and basically you kind of taught me that we've been in digital mode for currency for quite some time, but as a person that hasn't really dove into this like you have, I need to understand why I might be afraid of perhaps investing into this digital currency or getting involved with this digital currency, and then of course how it can impact me credit-wise, if it even does. So once again, Jordan Brown, thank you for bringing this all to us. We're going to talk a little bit about the wallet and everything. We've only got a few seconds before we go to break, but let me just say this. How long have we actually been involved? I'm talking about our monetary system in the United States. How long have we actually been involved in digital currency?
Well, if you think about it, like probably since its existence, to be completely honest with you.
There's nobody printing money that's going to take my paycheck and show up at the bank
exactly. So
in a Brinks truck.
So
we only got about 2 seconds. But before we go to break, maybe we'll take that question when we come back.
Absolutely, I was like to get into it
from break. Okay, all right. We will now take a short break. Stay tuned, and we'll be back after these important messages.
Minds can achieve anything. We make sure they get to college. Federal student aid provides more than $150 billion in grants, loans, and work-study funds to make college possible for anyone with the mind to get there. Because if given the chance, minds will do great things. Federal Student Aid, proud sponsor of the American Mind. Learn more about money for college at studentaid.gov.
Welcome back. You are watching Rock Your Block and today's segment of 495 Metro. We are joined by Mr. Jordan Brown, an advisor and coach in cryptocurrency and credit repair. Before the break, we were discussing the difference between digital currency and cryptocurrency, or if there was even a difference there. And the question of how long have we been involved with digital currency was answered basically by saying, hey, look, we've had this for a long time. We don't have piles of money going to the bank after our paychecks are issued. We have basically money being moved from a ledger over here to a ledger over there. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency seem to cover that same thing. So tell us a little bit more about how these kind of things kind of mesh together.
I'm glad you're touching on it because I feel like that's a fear that a lot of people out here really have, especially when it comes to cryptocurrency. They don't want to, they're scared to invest because they consider it just like a digital asset. And that's where I like to challenge them, like, your money's already digital. Out of all the money that we have in American GDP right now, only 3% of it's physical. So when you get your paycheck or you pay your bills, that's already from one bank account ledger going to another bank account ledger. I challenge you to say that you don't even see the cash. Then you go around the day, a lot of restaurants and things you go to, you even see it's already going cashless. Now, I mean, people have used Apple Pay more and more every day, so you're not even keeping conscious that you're seeing less and less cash around, period. So, and that in itself, I would think would be scary because, like I said, 3% of the American cash in the economy is physical. So that means if you and I and everybody else in America was to go to the bank and withdraw 4 or 5% of our money, it would be, the bank system would start collapsing.
Problem, huh?
That'd be a big problem. A lot of people won't start getting money out.
Well, we don't want to do that, but what we do want to do is everyday people, we want to understand what's going on because it seems like we've fallen behind the curve and, we need to catch up. Otherwise, we're going to, this new way of living and new way of handling our finances, if we were financially unprepared before, we're going to be even more so now. What would you say about that?
Yeah, I'm afraid so, and that's why I looked into Bitcoin so much is because the last time we had a crisis like this when the banks collapsed, it was because the economy overlended in the housing market, and Bitcoin came out in 2009 as a direct solution to that problem. It's a peer, like I said, it's a peer-to-peer electronic payment, but its purpose is to be a hedge against inflation. So by it having that 21 million token supply and only new coins can be put into circulation by through mining and hash rates, it just increases value over time. It just gives you something else to hedge against. And then the fact that Bitcoin could break down, one Bitcoin could break down into 8 decimal points. That's a Satoshi. And so that makes it transactional around the world. So that means everybody in the world can put their equivalent in it. So $100 here in Bitcoin would still be the same if you was in Mexico in peso or in Europe in pounds or even China in yen. It's worldwide. Like I said earlier, it's banking the unbanked and allowing you to hold your wealth. Because if we look at Bitcoin against any other market since its inception, now let's take the housing market for a change. The housing market crashes against Bitcoin. 2009, let's say it probably took you 890,000 Bitcoin to buy a house that probably cost you $250,000. 2013, Bitcoin went up. That same house would have cost you 200,000 Bitcoin. 2017, Bitcoin hit an all-time high of 20,000. That would have took you 13 Bitcoins to buy a house at like $250,000. Now, this is, and we at a time when people investing in Bitcoin, that 2009 or even 2013, Bitcoin ranged in prices of 12 cents to all the way up to $100. And so we're talking about that. With that, we're talking about the everyday people being able to invest and really change their life. And this is the part of Bitcoin and especially digital currency, cryptocurrencies that we want people not to be afraid of, because you could be missing out on the biggest opportunity of changing not only your wealth, but also bringing you generational wealth. I feel like we're in the biggest transference of wealth in human history, and we're too scared to even open the book and research it. But
why are we so afraid? I mean, what makes us?
Because who really has time to lose more money, right? Like, I mean, if I'm telling you that you invest $100 and it's a chance to go to zero,
but you're not telling people that they have to invest in. You're not a shill for Bitcoin. You're a shill for cryptocurrency, if you will, if you use that word, and financial literacy and generational wealth. Let's talk a little bit more about that. How this could actually set you up for generational wealth.
Just like we just discussed with the housing market, how Bitcoin, how you buying 13 Bitcoins probably would have cost you $12 or $20 in 2009, turned into a house in 2017, 2020. See, like that right there is accumulating wealth and acquiring wealth and life changing at that, because now you just changed that $20 investment, just change your whole life. Because now what you can do with the house, I mean, and that's why I say that that house can bring in equity. You could get loans out against it. You can be able to do, you have a influx of income, access to you, but just a small investment. So that's where I feel like that bridging that gap with One Common Cause, not even just through cryptocurrency, but just bringing you perspective on financial assets and period that can change the regular person's life. Like,
so speaking of regular people, and I consider myself one, now it seems like younger people in the population have more of an understanding, but then you have, you know, older people in the population that may have built up 401ks or may have other financial investments. How can they, what kind of research, I mean, you've done a lot of research, right? But what kind of research can they go to kind of get an idea of what they need to do? Some people have tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars invested,
nah,
you know, and it sounds to me like your money is a little bit at risk against this inflationary situation where, you know, things go up, bubble bursts, things go down, and it seems to me like the cryptocurrencies, we're talking about Bitcoin here, might be a bit of a hedge against that. I don't know. What do you think?
I would think so. I would like, because looking back over the last 15 years, nothing has outperformed Bitcoin. Whether you're looking at S&P 500, the housing market, no matter what asset class you put up against it, it fails compared to Bitcoin. So that alone was enough for me to change my mind. Because like I said, Bitcoin's been out since 2009. I started researching and digging deep into it in 2020. So even then, I'm behind the curve. I mean, but so for the everyday person, now I would tell them to just start by understanding what cryptocurrency is, starting with Bitcoin, probably reading into the papers. And I follow people like from Hit Network. I would suggest like Ben Armstrong, that gave room for knowledge. Like he even opened my eyes into like regulations going on around cryptocurrencies and other markets and how it even affects. So like I would say the guys at Hit Network, and if you got YouTube, definitely tune into them if you have the time to listen. If not, I definitely would suggest just reading into like more Bitcoin white papers and things of that nature. And
of course, if people want to know more, they can contact you
directly. Oh, absolutely,
right?
Man. If you get at us at One Common Cause, then we'll definitely try to bridge that gap. So
it's really exciting. I kind of, in preparation leading up to our conversation for today, I was significantly embarrassed to understand or learn that I was so far behind the curve, and I consider myself to be somewhat financially astute, but you know, things are changing so rapidly.
But you're not too late though. So like I would even look at it like this, like cryptocurrency is relatively young. It's a new asset class. And
a new asset class.
Yeah, it's a new asset class. So like I look at it compared to the .com bubble. Like,
okay.
You know what I mean? So this is why like we're here for is just to like I said, just to bring that understanding. There's like 25,000 cryptocurrencies.
Wow.
25,000 different ones outside of Bitcoin. Everyone's outside of Bitcoin is an altcoin, and so.
What did you say? An altcoin?
Yeah, altcoin.
Okay.
So, out of 25,000 cryptocurrencies, 99.9% of them are complete trash. They probably have no use case, no real life. So that's where I wanted that can be scary enough in its own. So like, you know what I mean? Like you want to talk about throwing a couple $1,000s into a project and it going to zero, yeah, it'd be enough for anybody to walk away.
Right, like you said, nobody wants to throw away money, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's why I feel like where we can help guide and be bringing a better understanding of this digital asset class so people can understand and know what they're actually investing into. And then go back to what you just said earlier about like, as far as like comparing it to your 401k or Bitcoin, I will always like, data analytics, they always taught me just to trust the numbers. You know what I mean? So I always will go back to the numbers. Now, your 401k may earn you, what, 5 or 10% interest?
On a good day.
On a good day.
It depends. You know, usually those assets are, you know, you're really conservative with them because, like you said, nobody wants to lose money. But go ahead, finish telling me
Let's
about it.
Let's compare that to what Bitcoin has done over, the Bitcoin return of investment over the last 15 years. So like, let's see if you would have kept your money in your 401k and see what it got you compared to if you would have invested that same amount of money in Bitcoin. Let's say now we have to go back to 2008, 2009, flight of cheating, even in 2017. and just see where would that have your accounts compared to now? Because like I said, Bitcoin since its inception is trashed every asset class, and it's been, and it's, I think it's had a return of investment of close to almost like 15,000%. If I'm not mistaken.
So I know we're at a point now in our show where we can let our audience know there's one or two things that they can do to get started. This is about information, this is about education, what we're doing today, but everybody does have to put in their own work, don't they?
Absolutely.
They really have to do their own research. But are there a couple of things that we can share with our audience, places where they can start?
Well, first I would like to tell them that don't look at the price of Bitcoin and feel that you're too late. Like I said, this is like the internet. We're relatively early. Bitcoin's $30,000 a day, and I just seen Kathy Woods of ARK Invest, and she has she's the CEO of ARK Invest. She has a price prediction now for Bitcoin of $1.5 million. Now,
For one Bitcoin?
For one Bitcoin. And
wow.
that could be in 10 years from now. So, and how I look at it, it would be like investing in Manhattan in 1976 or even 1876. You won't sit there and be like, man, I'm a little bit late, but you got a piece of the prime real estate, best city in the world. So I would definitely just say, definitely get into that.
Well, I would love to have you come back and talk about credit repair, because we didn't get into that too much. I guess my questions were more centered around the cryptocurrency. Unfortunately, our time together has come to an end. And if you have any questions about today's segment, please refer to the information scrolling below. We want to thank you for watching Rock Your Block and today's segment of 495 Metro. Thank you, and we hope to see you again soon.